Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to demonstrate the installation of Ubuntu Server version 16.04, that's the long-term supported version, in VMware Fusion for the Macintosh. This will be an instance of a virtual machine. And so to get started we need a couple of things. First of all, you need the Ubuntu ISO file. The ISO file is a CD image file. You don't actually need a CD for this installation, just the image file. So visit ubuntu.com. This site changes around from time to time, so you need to kind of hunt down the download. Here in this case, we can see that we've got a download. We can download server or desktop. In this case, we're looking for server. If you don't see it at the top here someplace, another good place to look for it is down here at the bottom. There's usually a link down at the bottom. We can click on that. There's a download. We can go to the download, and usually the default download is the long-term supported version. Occasionally there are intermediate releases. You can try those, but I usually recommend, unless you're experimenting specifically with a new feature or something, that you go with a long-term support edition. Go ahead and click the download. I'm not going to do that. I already have it. There's also an alternative download site if you're having problems or you'd rather use torrent. But at any rate, get that downloaded. The next thing you need, of course, is the VMware Fusion product. You can download a free trial of that. I believe it's a 30-day free trial. You'll trade off a little bit of personal information. You'll get a download executable. It installs just like any other Macintosh product. Go ahead and get that installed at the end of 30 days. If you're affiliated with an academic institution, check out their academic pricing. It's pretty good if you're eligible for that. So once we get those two things installed, we need to bring up the VMware product. It looks something like this. To add a new virtual machine, we just need to click this button here. We're going to go new. And then we're going to use the default, which is install from disk or image file. We're going to drag over the ISO file that we downloaded at the previous step from the Ubuntu. We simply need to drag this over, and that's what we're going to start with. Choose an operating system installation disk or image. You can see that I've previously installed a desktop ISO onto this computer. We're going to install the server version this time. If you've watched my desktop image file, we use the easy install method. We're not going to do that with the server edition. The server edition, we want to choose a few of our options a little bit more carefully. As we continue to the next step, I'm going to make sure that the easy install button is unchecked, because we're going to choose a few of our options as we go through this. So uncheck use easy install, and then let's continue with the installation. Virtual machine summary here. We can leave this alone for the install. We might want to come back later and change a few of these. We can change those through customized setting. But the defaults usually are going to be good enough for the install for server. Let's just take a look at what we've got. The guest operating system is going to be Ubuntu 64-bit server. We're going to start out with a capacity of 20 gigabytes. That's usually the right choice for playing around with learning the system. If you're installing this to do something specific with it, this is a maximum disk capacity. It's going to start out small and grow to a maximum capacity of 20 gigabytes. So if you know up front that you're going to need more than 20 gigabytes, then that would be a good reason to customize the settings at this point. The memory for server to start out with for experimental purposes should be fine at 1 gigabyte. We can come back and change that later. We're going to start out with NAT. That stands for Network Address Translation. That will share the IP address with your host computer. And that's the best way to start out with. That guarantees that you'll get an internet connection during installation. You can come back later and change that to bridged mode if bridged mode is going to be working out for you and you need a separate IP address. And then this gives you a summary of the devices that it's found that it's going to share with your host computer. We can at this point go ahead and click Finish. We're going to save that. We can choose a different name for the virtual machine. I'm going to override this to make this compatible with some of my other video lectures. So I'm going to choose Ubuntu 16.04, S for server. But as I say, you can change that if you have a reason to. You can also save it to a location on your hard drive. By default, VMware creates a directory called virtual machines. It'll store this virtual machine in that folder. You can browse to a different directory if you like, or you could also put it on a flash drive if you need to take this back and forth, for example, to and from class. We're going to go ahead and save that. And now the installation is going to start. Let me pull this down so it's within my screen movie window. And note that this is now a terminal installation window. We're going to click in it. We're going to lose our mouse. And this now is in terminal mode. So you're going to be entering this by keystrokes. We're going to head and click enter for English. And we're going to click enter to install Ubuntu server. Note that there are a couple of other options here if you need to rerun this. You can check the disk for defects. Probably don't need to do that, but if you have trouble with the installation, you can come back and that will verify that the ISO file that you downloaded wasn't corrupted. You can test memory. There's also an option here to rescue a broken system. And that can be handy if, for example, you've lost your password or you need to recover a system, do some other operations. Right now, we're going to go ahead and install Ubuntu server by pressing enter here. We're going to go ahead and by the way, control command key will release the cursor. Because this is terminal mode, you don't have a mouse cursor. I just needed to release this to pull this up and make sure that we can see the whole thing in our screen movie window. And then I'm going to click in the window again to put us back into the terminal mode where only the keys work. We're going to go ahead and select the default for English, obviously. If you have another language or a different installation language, you can pick that. We're going to specify again the country. I'm going to select the United States. Generally, you don't need to select the keyboard or have it detected. English is usually a good choice, but if you know that you do, I want to point out that when you see these options down here at the bottom, it's the tab key that moves you back and forth between the different options. When you see the choice that you want, then you can press enter. I'm going to go ahead and let it default to English again, and then English again for the keyboard layout. It will go through a hardware detection routine. That's usually automatic. You can let that go. It's loading some additional components. As we go through here, I may pause or delete spaces for purposes of keeping this installation movie down in time so you aren't necessarily having to watch this spin. That took several seconds. I deleted some of that. Now we come to the point where it's detecting the host name. The host name is something that it uses internally. This should be a fairly simple name. Don't try anything long here. You might actually give this the same name that you gave for the machine name back when we started the installation. So I might call this Ubuntu 16.04S. That might be a good choice. Don't use any special characters here. I would recommend you not use spaces, anything like that. Keep it simple. When you're ready, you can press the tab key to move to continue, and then press enter. Now we'll set up the primary user and the password. I'm going to keep this simple and in keeping with my other documentation, I'm going to use user1 for the full name, tab to continue, and then press enter to continue. The username, I'm going to also use user1, tab to continue, and then press enter to continue. Password, I'm going to use the word password. tab and then tab again to continue, and then press enter to continue. Re-enter to verify. Again, password. Now, before I press continue here, let me just comment that if you choose something else, this is a fairly secure system. It's in a virtual machine on your desktop. There's little chance of anybody hacking this. Obviously, if this is a production system, you want to choose something that's secure. Whatever you do, please write this down and make sure that you remember it. If you get to the end of the routine and you've forgotten that, or there's some other problem, it's going to be easier just to reinstall than it is to try to fix it or recover it some other way. Just a word to the wise. You may configure your home directory for encryption. This is your choice. I, under most circumstances, see little need to configure this with encryption. It does slow things down. So my recommendation is not to do this, but should you choose, you can certainly do so. It's going to set up a network time server. It's going to try to find out your time zone. It usually guesses correctly. If not, you can set it at this point, or you can wait until after the configuration installation is done and reset it at a later time. Now, at this point, if this were a live system, not a virtual machine, and you're setting this up with real hard drives and so on, then you'd want to think about this. This is just setting up some space on your hard drive to set up a virtual disk. So this is not actually going to do anything to your real hard drive. It's going to set up what looks like a hard drive in a file on your computer. My suggestion for the virtual machine then is to arrow up to guided, use entire disk. You don't need to set up LVN. You probably don't need to set up encrypted LVN. You do want to use the entire disk. Remember, it's setting up that space for the a pseudo hard drive. That actually is just a file on your computer. When you have the selection that you want, just go ahead and press enter. There's only going to be one choice to partition because this is the, as I say again, the file on your computer. So press enter. And then it defaults to no, of course, because it wants you to think about it. Should this be a real installation? So you can hit your tab key to go back to yes, and then press enter. And then it's going to create this pseudo drive in the file on your host computer. And it'll then install the system. This will take a few minutes. And now at this point, it's asking if you need to use an HTTP proxy to access the outside world. If you do, then you probably know that you need to enter something here. If this is a home computer system, you almost certainly don't. This might be the case if you're in a work environment. So I would suggest that you almost certainly don't need to do this. So simply press the tab key to continue, and then press enter to continue. Now we get to a prompt that asks you if you want to install automatic updates. So my recommendation is that you not accept this default. You're going to want to install updates, security updates, and so on when you decide they need to be installed. It's pretty inconvenient on a server if it goes into automatic updating. So the default is no automatic updates. I would recommend that you press enter and accept that default. Now, here's an opportunity to install additional software, and please listen to me before you just press enter. The way that you select these is to arrow up and down and press the space bar to put an asterisk in the package that you would like to install. If you press continue at this point, it's going to go right into the next step here, and then you'll miss your shot. So you want to arrow up and down, press the space bar to put an asterisk in the package that you want, and then you can press the tab key to go to the continue bar, and only then should you press enter. So the ones that I would suggest as a default, and the one that I use most often in My other tutorial videos are going to include the LAMP server. This includes the Apache web server, MySQL database server, and the PHP scripting language. That's what's called the LAMP server. And also the OpenSSH server. This allows you to use the OpenSSH packages to get a terminal window going between your host computer or another computer on your network and this server. With those two checked, those are the two packages that I almost always would have you install. But you can check out the DNS server, mail servers. The PostgreSQL is an alternative to the MySQL that comes with LAMP. And virtual machine host. So those are some other options. When you have those ready, then go ahead and press the tab key to get to continue. And then with OpenSSH and LAMP, as I say, at a minimum checked, go ahead and press enter, and that will continue with the installation. Now, if you selected LAMP, you're going to be prompted for a MySQL root user password. You can leave this blank, but my recommendation is that you go ahead and enter a password for the root user to access the MySQL database. My default password that I include in my documentation is just a small case MySQL. That's MySQL. That's the one that I use in my documentation. You could pick something else, but again, whatever you pick, write it down because it's going to be more difficult to recover if you forget. And again, it asks you to repeat it. If you leave it blank, you can set it at a later time. But if you fill it in and then forget it, it's going to be a problem. Now, the installation is very close to finishing. It's asking you a message about Grub, which is a bootloader. That's the process that initially, when you turn on your computer, looks to try to find an operating system. If this were a live installation on a computer itself rather than a virtual machine installation, you might have another bootloader on here. For example, the Mac has its own bootloader, Windows has its own bootloader. It would be possible to replace that bootloader with Grub, which could then load both the native operating system and Linux. That gets complicated, not much that we need to discuss here at this point. But what this message is telling you is that it seems like there is no bootloader on this virtual disk that you've just installed, and that's true. So it's asking for permission to go ahead and install the bootloader, and the answer to that, of course, is yes, you should go ahead and do that. That's the default. So it's safe to go ahead and say yes here. Again, I just bring this up because this is the same installation process you might use if you were installing this natively on a physical computer. And you want to think about this message if that were the case. But here with a virtual machine, go ahead and take the default, simply press yes. The machine will then go ahead and install the Grub Bootloader and reboot the virtual machine, finish the installation, and we'll be ready to log in just a second here. So the installation is complete, time to boot into the new system. Make sure to remove the installation media. We don't actually need to do that. If you were running this on a physical machine, you'd want to pull out the CD, but we don't have to do that here. So just press continue. This is a normal boot. You see a lot of OKs. You might occasionally see a fail. That doesn't necessarily mean that anything is wrong. It just means that perhaps it tried to start up a device that maybe you don't have on your system, something or other like that. So as long as you get to this login prompt, you can pretty much ignore those screen messages that go by. Now it's asking for a login. We log in with our username and password that we set during installation. Hopefully we remember them. Here I enter user 1. When I enter the password, note that nothing is reflected or echoed on the screen. So you can't really tell if you mistyped something. So just type it in and it'll go in blind. gives you the welcome message and so on. Now at this point, occasionally from first-time users who are trying this, I hear, where's my GUI? And of course, server has no GUI. This is it. It's all command line stuff. So I'm going to leave it to your devices to perhaps run some command line tutorials, begin to learn how to use the command line. There are GUI interfaces you can get that you can manage a server using a GUI interface. Those are usually run through a web browser that you access server with. But server itself doesn't come with a GUI interface. And let me talk then about how you might shut this down in VMware and also talk about the sudo command. Ubuntu, as configured, comes with the root user disabled. You can enable it. You can look up how to do that. But to get at any of what we call the root commands, you use sudo, which is the super user do command. So sudo, use that in front of any command that normally requires root access, what we call root access. So sudo sudo So there's a shutdown command that you can use. -p means also power off, and now means do it now. So sudo shutdown -P now case is important. Let me execute that. We need to enter the password for sudo commands. That will shut down the system and power it off as far as VMware. There we go. And we can start that up again by clicking the start icon and so on. Now, let me, and this will be off screen so you won't be able to see it, but I will describe it. Let's see, I don't think I can do it from here. Virtual machine. Yeah, it did pop down. So at the top menu, it's off my screen movie limits, but up at the VMware Fusion, from the top here, I clicked on the virtual machine tab. One thing I do want to point out is that you can take a snapshot, and a snapshot is a backup. And when I click snapshot, I can take a current status. When I click take, it will do a backup of the virtual machine. That way, as I go on and play around with this and maybe do some experimenting and so on, I have a backup of the system. So that's an important one to know. I also won't click this here because it'll put it out of my screen dimensions. You can go full screen on this, although with terminal, perhaps there's less of a reason to do that than with desktop. So this covers the installation of server. Hope this has been helpful. There are a lot of other things you can do with this. You can run it in this window. Usually I recommend, rather than actually accessing it in this window in VMware, that you simply start it up and then access it through a terminal screen. There's some advantages to that, but that's really perhaps a different lecture, a different movie. Hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching, and good luck.